Uh, Folks, we're gonna be shit talking Marvel today. I couldn't think of a better way to spend my Wednesday afternoon, well, Wednesday evening, than to shit talk Secret Invasion. Um, it's not gonna be so much a shit talk as it's more just gonna be a dissection, if you will. I watched the episode twice because I needed to reinforce my feelings, right? Because I didn't want to approach this as just utter hatred, right? Because I don't absolutely hate this show, okay? It's just, let's just get into it. So, first off, the reason why I was able to watch this show twice is because, like Marvel shows and even some Star Wars shows, very up to Disney, very on par with Disney to do this, is have inconsistent episode runtimes. What is going on? What's happening? Why so is that a thing? I don't understand, because usually with the finale of an episode, like Last of Us, for an example, an hour and fucking half, dude. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't understand it. I had to make sure my mic was on because, I definitely started a podcast just like starting video and not audio because I'm a moron, because I'm a little heated right now. Okay, because here's the thing, right? I am always going to be a Marvel fan. I've been a Marvel fan since The Ultimate Spider-Man. Shout out to Brian Michael Bendis, who made probably one of my favorite Spider-Man series that has been very influential in my creativity, in everything, right? And what jumped me into Marvel fandom, right? And I got into a lot more comics as the years go on, and I still do. I don't read as much Marvel as I do now, more Boom Studios, which has been fucking popping off with comic books lately. But Marvel, in terms of the MCU, Marvel, it's like you have it's the same complaint that I have for Star Wars. It's like you have everything right there. You have the source material. It's all there. All you got to do is just fucking follow it. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do literally anything else. Just follow the source material. Of course, you got to have some originality with it, right? You can't be a moron and just, do a copy and paste. That's not, filmmaking has to be a little more nuanced than that, right? But when you have a show that is regarded as one of the top comic book runs that I haven't seen, by the way, or read, sorry. But Secret Invasion is definitely like one of those like top tier comic book Marvel runs that everybody that I know in my circle of friends always references. And a lot of those same people say that that is not the reflection of the comic books at all, which of course is like to say, there's so many MCU films that aren't adhering to the comic books in general, but at least they got something going on. Guardians in many ways really cater to the comic books, but he made his own flair with it, right? Secret Invasion, so let's start off with the good things. All right, I want to talk about the good things right on the top, okay? Because the rest of the episode is just going to be the way it is, all right? And I'm going to be reviewing the entire show, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are not up for spoilers, you've been warned, okay? So when I first watched the show, I wasn't into it because I just wasn't in the right, I guess, frame of mind for it, I guess, which is always weird because I'm always up for a Marvel show. And I thought I wouldn't be up for Miss Marvel, right? Like before Miss Marvel came out, I was very much like, I don't know. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh shit, this is like a wholesome fucking rad show. Like I love this shit so much. And introducing history with it and whatnot, it was beautiful. But it kind of hit me in a way that like She-Hulk did in various forms, because while it had like a really good idea, you know what I mean? Like in terms of what Secret Invasion was and what the point and the plot of it is for, just not telling the scrolls between the human beings, and, they're kept underground in Russia for some reason. And so, okay, let's just talk about the good things, right? I'm going all over the place because I'm floored, because it's one of those things where I have faith in a show, and then when it's almost without beat, with the moment that I start to lose some sort of faith, just a little glimmer of faith, then like it's like the show just like, just goes really much, like just so fucking downhill really much. Jesus Christ, Adam. It's the end of the day. What can I do? But I never understood that. I never quite got that, why you have to have a show that could have been so fucking good and consistent, at least with its runtime, right? Instead of just the last 2 episodes are just 30 fucking minutes, and actually have a plot that follows through with itself and characters that also follow through with themselves. But again, we're talking about good things. Adam, you haven't said one good thing. I know. I'm trying. So what I did like about the show is that I do enjoy seeing Nick Fury's character start the show alone and end it with someone who he loves, Vara, who was formerly known as Priscilla. And I thought that relationship was great. I thought their chemistry was awesome. I thought Talos and Nick's chemistry were okay. There's been a couple points where it just felt goofy, where I'm just like, y'all ain't believable. Sorry. But when it came to Priscilla and Nick, I absolutely saw that. And I loved it too. I very much loved it. And I thought to myself, like, okay, why is this called Secret Invasion when we have Nick and Priscilla have like an interesting history? And why don't we dive deeper into that, So, yeah, I thought their relationship was very interesting throughout the show. And I enjoyed it a lot. I thought that, Priscilla, in confronting him, I think like, I don't remember, it's like episode 3 or episode 4, when Nick finally comes home and we see Priscilla like, oh shit, Nick has a wife, I guess? That's crazy. And she said, as much time as you've been gone, especially during the blip, I have became myself. I have to become myself. I don't need you. I thought I needed you. I thought I needed you by my side all the time, but because you were always gone. And then with the blip, I kind of pulled myself from the bootstraps and did what I have to do and live my life. And I thought that was really great. And exploring that more, and Nick sort of at the end kind of understanding the truth of their relationship, and that he has to be present at all times because he actually does love her. Like there's no questioning or doubts about it, in my opinion. But yeah, I thought that relationship was great, and I definitely liked. So here's the thing, I came around to Gravik, or Gravik, whatever. Gravik, I'm gonna call him Gravik. Sure, it's an alien name. Relax. So, yeah, I mean, have y'all seen the UFO hearings this morning or earlier today? Anyway, so with Secret Invasion, which I think is by far, I mean, if it's any consolation, way more interesting than the UFO hearing morning. I mean, listen, I'm all, whatever, but, Adam, what are you talking about UFOs? I don't know, okay? Secret Invasion, aliens, scrolls. My brain is all over the place, So when I saw that Secret Invasion just merely became a show about Nick, I didn't have a problem with it, really. I do think it's a little misleading, but I actually don't have a problem with it. And I actually wanted like a Nick Fury show, and I think we got that basically. And I think that's probably what the Fury show was supposed to be. That was like gonna be a thing, and then it didn't become a thing, and then it was like, oh no, we're gonna mush the Fury story and the Secret Invasion, and it's gonna, fucking story time, Marvel, and then we got what we got. Other good shit. Ideally, I thought I would be writing that down, but I didn't. I only wrote a few things down to talk about in respects to the Secret Invasion, and none of them are positive. But like, again, it's not me trying to talk shit about the creator, Marvel. It's just the show. It's just the decisions that were made within the show, and then how everything wrapped up in the last episode that happened last night, or early this morning, I should say. It was just like, it felt like what I entered to in the first episode. I will say that it followed through with the same feeling that I had from episode 1. It went up by a lot because I enjoyed Gravik, as a character over time. At first I was like, he's coming off goofy. I don't know. And then by episode 4, I think, or like maybe the second to the last episode, yeah, I like, he changed. I was like, oh, well, where the fuck was this Gravik? When it came to like, no, we're following through with this plan, and his buddy just like kind of like talking him down from it, and was just like, your time has come to an end. Like, you gotta move on with this shit. You can't just make this shit personal. And then he just fucking takes the Groot arm thing and just stabs him right through the heart. And then he was like, does anybody want to say any objections? I like that shit. I think that was fun, and it definitely gave a little more. It gave a little more validity to the antagonist a little bit, in terms of like what is supposed to be done, right? What is his mission? What is he trying to accomplish, right? Because again, like, the show for Secret Invasion isn't necessarily like a bad idea, right? And on paper, it sounds great. It sounds fun, but like, you kind of miss it for me when you don't really have an aim, right? So fuck it. Let's just get into the bad shit. I talked about the runtime. Let's just break it down by characters, okay? Nick and Vera, awesome. I wouldn't change a fucking thing about those two. They were great. I thought Sam Jackson always fucking kills it. He's a thespian. I mean, come on. And whoever played, I've seen her before. I don't remember her name, but I've seen her before, and she's phenomenal. And seeing her play opposite of not opposite, but I guess with, or opposite, doesn't matter. Playing with Sam Jackson, she fucking fit seamlessly. And the relationship felt way more believable than Nick and Talos, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And I understand, like, the Nick and Talos thing is like, a buddy cop, lethal weapon, but not really kind of thing. Like, I mean, it was fine, but, it wasn't like Priscilla and Nick, or at least Vera and Nick. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that way more. And I think the Talos storyline was so unfulfilled like Maria Hill's, because you killed off, in my opinion, one of the most important, actually two of the most important characters, because Maria Hill is very important, especially keeping Nick grounded from the very first fucking Avengers film, and that's the only time we see her are in Avenger films, unless she was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I just don't remember. And I only think I watched the entire show. I watched like 2 episodes, and I was like, I'm good. That was a long time ago. But regardless, it's like, this was Maria Hill going to shine. And at that first episode, I'm like, dog, if this is going to be a buddy cop show with Nick and Maria, I am fucking in, dude. I am in. Let's fucking do this. Maria Hill dies at the end of the first episode. I'm like, fuck, damn it. So we're not going to get that. Awesome. And I thought, nah, she's going to come back later. No, she's dead. She's very much dead. And then, even met up with her mom. Nick did, to pay respects to Maria. And in that scene, I thought it was a very good scene when Maria's mom was like, don't let her death become unjustified. We gotta have this become justified. Like, we gotta follow through with this thing. And if you gotta take all these fuckers down, take whoever the fuck you gotta take down. You know what I mean? So I thought by the final episode, we're gonna have this major fucking, not comeback, but at least paid respects to the extent by avenging Maria's death, and making it seem like this meant a lot to Nick Fury, which I know her relationship meant a lot to him, and like that, I don't know, that it rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm like, okay, well then her death, along with Talos in a way, became very much unjustified. And I don't know how to rewrite that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, I don't actively do that, at least not with Marvel shows, unless it's like a really bad fucking, like we're talking Morbin time, I don't usually do that, because I just want the story play the way it's supposed to be played, right? And of course, I'm going to have disagreements, but that's why I love doing this shit, is because I want to have these disagreements. And it's not like this show is, such an epitome of trash. It's just, it goes again with what everybody feels about these superhero shows and movies. And that is, we're seeing the same shit in a different skin. And there's not much really creative, like creative expression that come from any of this. And that's what made Marvel, at least the comic books, so amazing, is because each one just feels so fucking different from the last. And I appreciate that with comic books. That's like kind of, what I look forward to and shit. So yeah, that was that for the review. I'm gonna go. No, I'm kidding. That would be such a short episode. But honestly, like, I don't want to harangue on one specific thing. It's just, there's so many parts of the show that just felt like okay, let's go through the last episode then, right? So in the last episode, why have all this set up for Nick to have a great, like, justification for his reaction to being blipped, And I thought that was powerful. I didn't like the whole coughing thing, and then it all turns out to be Gaia. We're going to talk about that in a second. But that scene was phenomenal. Talk about some good things. There was one good thing, and that scene was great because it showed that Nick, because Nick is kind of like, he's been taking L's this entire show, and he does have a redemption arc, I guess, in a way, but he is Nick. He makes the sacrifices. He does the things that he does because, he wants to save humanity, or he wants to preserve the integrity of the Avengers. And he is the only one to keep them in check and make sure that they are, doing what they are supposed to. And I liked that. I enjoyed it a lot. It's just like, when it then turned into, Gaia was the one who was disguised as Nick the entire time, and she was just playing it up with the whole radiation poisoning thing and coughing like as if, fucking Sam Jackson just smoked 2 packs of cigarettes before the first take, So, yeah, I don't know. I thought the resolution for that was also unsatisfactory because we had the fight, right? And in what world, at least for me, that this isn't a problem, that Gaia literally has a piece of all the Avenger powers, right? And I've seen a couple people write on Twitter and Instagram saying that, like, that's because they're still nerfed. It's not as powerful. It's like, I don't know. That's some Captain Marvel ass like fucking power. Like she is juiced up from literally every part of the Avengers, and she was able to like break her body off in part. Well, not break it off, but like she can like divide her powers like in one hand and grasp another power in the other. It felt so like, it felt like how I feel about Superman most of the time, and that is, you're overpowered and there's nothing you can do. There's really no resolution to all this, and you are still walking amongst the land of superheroes as a Skrull and imbued yourself with all of the powers of the Avengers. So what happens to that? Like, and also Gaia, like, I felt like there could have been way more to talk about, especially with her and her relationship with her dad, because we barely talked about it. We barely even brushed against it. We just saw that, like, Gaia's conflicted because he wouldn't stick around or whatever the fuck. Like, it just, there were so many things about their relationship that I could have easily believed if you gave it more time than it actually did. And the attitude that she had with her dad felt a little unjustified too, because it was just her dismissing him and saying, you should have been, but like he explains, and it's like, look, I'm trying to do the best that I possibly can, but this is also important. You can't just work with extremists and expect that the world is going to change according to what we, the Skrulls, say. That's not how this planet works. It's already a privilege that they allowed us to even be here in the first place. Or at least Talos and some of the Skrulls who have a relationship with Nick, and the government is aware of that. And speaking of the government, let's talk about that fucking scene in the hospital with President Ritson and Colonel Rhodes. I think I've watched enough Aaron Sorkin shit and like the West Wing episodes to know that, like, to call a Joint Chief of Staff fucking stupid is probably like not the most professional thing you should go for as a colonel of the military. I don't know of what, but I know he has a position in the White House, and he just talked to, President Ritson's chief of staff is kind of like a child. Talk to her like she literally is a child, Whereas like any other, I'm sure, Joint Chief of Staff would probably slap the shit out of him for even saying such a thing. That felt so weird. That whole scene felt so weird. And to kind of like bum rush the president into making the decision of, we got to attack Russia. We got to go. I couldn't be more certain it's Russia. It is Russia. I am promise you it's Russia. This is Russia. It's like, dog, is this fucking 2016 election all over again? What is happening right now? Like, just chill the fuck out. Why Russia? Why? Is there a reason? I'm not saying like as opposed to China. Not that either. Like, can't it just be in the soil of the United States of America? You know what I mean? It's like, hey, like, make the stakes high, but don't make it where it's like we're gonna start World War fucking 3. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird jump off point. You know what I mean? And I understand, like, it was part of the comic books too, the looming threat of World War III, but it's got to be more believable than that. It can't just be like, hey, we just gotta bomb Russia. Why? They're fucking keeping scrolls underground and they're bad. It's like, that's not a reason enough to bomb an entire fucking country. Like, that's crazy. That's like bombing a country under the superstition that there is weapons of mass destruction. Whoops. Anyways, a little bit of political humor for you politics fans. Anyways, but regardless, like, I could complain that the politics were wrong in the show. It doesn't matter, right? The point is that Colonel Rhodes, who's basically, Skrull Rhodes, right? I don't know how I felt about that. Like, I mean, I guess it's cool because it's like somebody who we know from the Avengers, and nobody is safe, and it makes the show that much more. It just validates the extreme situation that they are currently in, which, yeah, I guess it's fine, but like at the same time, it's like, let's not, because we don't even know who the fuck that Skrull is. That's the other part. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know that Skrull's name, who disguised themselves, I guess herself, it looks like a she, as Colonel Rhodes. And like, that's it. It's just, we're just going to move on from that. Okay. I guess, so again, there's so many questions more than there are like answers. And even the answers too, it didn't feel like it had the resolution that it should have had, and to carry it on elsewhere, I don't even know where you begin, yeah, I don't even know where the fuck you carry on from that, So there's that, and then yeah, killing Gravik with all those superpowers. Just going back to that fight in general, like, and also too, I found a consistent thing. I don't know if there are so much more shit being left unsaid from the show that we just don't know about, because like for instance, the Nick Fury scene with Gravik, or at least Gaia disguised as Nick Fury talking to Gravik, right? And what what was the plan with that? And also, what was the plan with Nick Fury and Olivia Colman's character? I think Sonya? I think that's her name. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Sonya. Like, what was that conversation like? Because clearly they're in cahoots to essentially, move President Ritson and corner Rhodes, or at least Skrull Rhodes. I just like it didn't make any fucking sense to me. It didn't because there's so much being left that we don't know about. And I guess it just happens off screen and we just have to use our imaginations, I guess. There's just so much happening that it's unexplainable, And I think that's where the show sort of was consistent on, was that they have all this great setup, but none of like the punchiness and none of like the reversal and the reveals where it's like, oh shit, now they have a bigger problem, or like, oh, there's something else going on. There's something underneath all this and whatnot. And they made no justification to avenge the death of Talos or Maria, and those were two, at least in my opinion, very important characters of the MCU, especially Talos. Like Talos, and Maria, like Maria is the right hand to Nick, right? So Talos is kind of the same thing, but on the Skrull side, but more so that he was the middleman between Nick and Talos, and he was able to have a decent relationship with the Skrulls because of him, because of Talos. And again, it felt like we had all of that set up in Secret Invasion, all for Talos to die, and then, it's just Nick Fury just trying to clear his name. That's it. He's just trying to clear his name of being framed. And then I don't know. I don't want to get into politics, but like the justification to go after the Skrulls from President Ritson after Rhodes died is such an extreme reactionary thing. And I know that, like, I read a couple people who said that like, oh yeah, of course, that's supposed to be the thing. Like Ritson is supposed to be like this reactionary, Republican-esque, adjacent fucking, president who's just unhinged or whatever. And it's just like, but even then though, any other politician wouldn't just straight up just be like, hey, so I might be traumatized the fact that Rhodes has been with me and I've said a lot of bunch of shit to Rhodes and it was actually a Skrull. And I don't know what kind of information got out there, but Nick, you gotta figure it out. Like, I said a lot. You know what I mean? Because he works in the White House. He's part of the White House. So yeah, of course you're gonna share a lot of things with Rhodes. And turns out it's a Skrull, and it's like, oh, so what did that Skrull fucking say to all the other Skrulls, especially Gravik? Like what happened? But instead, Ritson is like, nope, we're gonna hunt every other Skrull and we're gonna kill them, dude. It's like, what? It's like, yeah, anybody who we think is a Skrull is just gonna die. It's like, okay, and just some random ass woman just fucking dies because they're under the assumption that they are a Skrull, and some guy is just killed on TV, on camera, who is a Skrull. But like, again, it's such a weird 180 that it just like, that was completely unnecessary. There was no need to do that. Why did you have to do that? That was so unnecessary. Well, it's just to justify how crazy some presidents are. Yeah, but that's way too crazy. You know what I mean? That's too much. That's too much because then now we have another problem, right? It's not Kang anymore. It's not the fucking Skrulls or the Kree anymore. It's the fucking president because the president wants to kill all the Skrulls apparently. You know what I mean? It's like, what the what are we doing? There's so much shit happening. Stop this. There's so many things happening. You know? I don't understand it. I like have a central idea, but also give all of the room for the actors to embrace their characters and give them the time to embrace it. Disney, stop with the fucking 30-minute shit. This shit is annoying. It's so annoying. Like, I know, like, y'all have more content to give than that. That's crazy. You already got me on the app. Give me more. Do more, please. That's ridiculous. Like that's insane. Give us something that we can gleam off of, that we can appreciate these characters from. Not just have these abrupt cuts and these weird, off-screen, I guess, moments that we just never had. That then, by the final act, none of it feels justified. Like the final episode, almost none of it felt justified. Especially with Gaia and in confronting Gravik. That didn't feel and Gravik, what an interesting way to just like, well, that's the character and he's dead now. You're not going to lock him up. You're not going to throw him with, like in a shield, fucking, I don't know. I don't know if S.H.I.E.L.D. has a prison, but I assume they do. You know what I mean? Like a holding cell from S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. I don't know. But do something that gives us more room to appreciate Gravik and at least like see him follow through later. And maybe Kang needed information and he needs to go to Gravik. And Gravik's the only one. Like have shit like that and it can work because you have a villain that's trying to, like, who justifies righteousness but confuses it with extremism or extremist shit, like terrorism, essentially, And it's not, of course, right? But that's the conflict of antagonists, which makes an antagonist an antagonist. So when you have Gravik just essentially have, just become a super Skrull, okay, and now he has all these powers, okay, and then, well, he needs to be taken down because now he's OP, okay, so we have to have Gaia essentially kill him by one Captain Marvel laser beam, and then he's gone. So then all that set up in the childhood and all that never came from the hands of Nick, although it was one part Nick, but then it turned that, Gaia was, in disguise. And I guess apparently Nick shared the story about how he was excited to go in the Blit because that means like all of his troubles and worries just kind of go away, essentially, Like, oh, it's not his responsibility anymore. He's basically gone, which I thought was great. But when you revealed that it was Gaia, it's like, so then what was the justification for that? Because that was all made up. Unless, again, they talked about this off screen and we just have to assume? Well, that doesn't make any sense. That's the whole point of the story, is to show those moments. Also, show the more moments with Sonya because, like, Sonya just kind of like she was going in and out of these scenes, and we didn't have more development from her. I mean, I guess we do a fair amount, but I would have appreciated way more, especially when it came to Nick. Because they started off in the beginning of the show meeting each other, and it's it's a little it's a little bit like butting heads, sort of. but then they kind of come back together and, you know, do one more mission, right? Or I guess like not really mission, but a priority to corner Colonel Rhodes. And I just wish there was more setup with that. Like I wish there was more to say and to talk about. But like they try to give like an element of surprise, and the element of surprise was not. It didn't pay off the way that I don't know that I thought it would. I guess but it doesn't matter, right? Because all in all, the like. The justification behind all of it just didn't make any sense. There was nothing justified. Also, the episode before the last episode, it ended with Nick Fury having a phone call, and it was like, it's time. It's like, who the fuck was that? Like that was like the question. It was just like, whoa, who did he talk to? Was it Captain Marvel? Was it like was it another Avenger? Well, who was it? And I guess it's Gaia. I get or Sonya. It could be either or a group call. He just started a conference call with both of them. All right, ladies, we're about to fuck shit up. It's time. So, yeah, there's nothing much I can say about Secret Invasion other than that Marvel. Let's please just get it together. I'm not losing faith with Marvel as of yet. But I do hope that the next couple of years, or I guess like the next few years, is going to be a good rework. And we'll see with the Marvels, because hopefully the Marvels, like, it looks fun. It looks fun as fuck. Overusing Beastie Boys a little bit, because I just, like, it felt like every other movie trailer this year I watched has a fucking Beastie Boys trailer. So, yeah, I think it's, I think it was left to be desired. Secret Invasion, overall, I give it the performance side. I give that about like a solid 7. A solid 7. I was gonna say a solid 6, but that's not giving him enough. I think a solid 7 is good, because it's not the performance that I had a problem with. It was more. So the overall grade, I think it's a 5. it's a 5. It's because the acting was awesome. I thought it was phenomenal between Emilia Clarke, Sam Jackson, Kingsley Ben-Adir, I think that's his name. He did good. Like he's a phenomenal actor. I loved him in a few things I saw him in. But anyways, there was so much more left to be desired that I thought this was going to be the show. You know what I mean? Like, I've always had that thought. I'm like, man, Marvel needs a show like Andor, and I think Secret Invasion will be like that. And I was hyping myself for it too. And then once it happened, I was like, oh, so, okay. They did the same shit like almost any other Marvel show, Well, maybe not almost every, but, it's just one of those things where, like, no matter what, I'll be watching anything Marvel, but it does leave a sour taste in my mouth knowing that, like, there are so many threads left open with all of these, like, character developments and, open-ended scenes that just basically can go anywhere, essentially. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with the Skrulls, and apparently there's a lot more to this evil plan than there originally was, and Sonya's getting to the bottom of it and shit, which I wish it could have been solved in this show, but it doesn't matter. I guess who cares? But it's one of those things where if you have a show or any even a movie that you leave with way more questions, I don't necessarily think that's a failure. I just do think that there's a lot to be said to know where there's a lot to be said to understand the way that it's supposed to be depicted. And I know everybody watches things differently usually, or like with a different perspective. Everybody has their own perspective. But it's always strange to me how like they adapt this weird style that has been always a thing with Marvel for the past like 6 or 7 years, it felt like, aside from Avengers Endgame or whatever. But it just like you have this level of predictability where things just felt like it just fizzled out. But the bones and how it started was strong, like very strong. And then the end of it just you got none of that. And I felt like these shows quickly complicated things too, because I don't know, like I feel like with a lot of these shows, nobody can jump into it. Anybody can jump into an Andor show, right? Anybody can really jump into Andor. If you don't know Star Wars, you can't really jump into like Moon Knight and not really understand, because they play on so many levels in the Marvel MCU where you can easily get lost. And that goes with all of these shows, I would say. Yeah. And I mean, it's fan service, or at least tries to be. And I do appreciate that, but it just there's just a lot more shit, Marvel, that you could have done, that there's so much in source material. And also, I'm kind of down for like original like shit from like independent filmmakers, you know? Like some of like weird comic book runs, like in the vein of like what Todd Phillips did with Joker. Just have their own interpretation of a Marvel film, and what they can do to express that. I'm not talking about Venom. Venom is kind of a different. It also broaches like silly fun time, in many ways, which is like not really the comic books. Like Venom is way more serious. But who knows, right? Yeah. Marvel, get it together. I don't know what else to say other than please just get it together. Let's do a reset, please. Not of everything, I still want Kang, although I know, Jonathan Majors is kind of, there's some heat on that, which is, hopefully that gets resolved, and hopefully we don't lose a Kang, and hopefully that person is not a terrible human being. I mean, is he? I don't know. Is he not? I don't know. It just all the accusations is just all over the place, right? So we'll see where it goes for Kang, but again, there's so many open-ended ways of like. Now we have President Ritson, who's on a hunt for all the fucking scrolls. And then we have Kang, and then we have... also, we haven't addressed all the magic shit that's been happening between Doctor Strange, America Ferrara, and... oh, God. Scarlet Witch too, but who was the... Agatha Harkness, that is still being unsolved, which I thought like the whole phase was supposed to be the magic phase of Marvel, which I don't know anymore. You know, I don't know. These phases are sort of like they're bleeding together, but not really. And also, like, now with the writer strikes happening and the actor strikes happening still, I don't know where Marvel's going to go after the Marvels. I have no clue. And I hope the Marvels is good. I really hope. The trailer seemed fun. Not a fan of the BC Boy shit, but it looks a lot of fucking fun. It looks a ton of fun. And I think Miss Marvel is going to steal the fucking show because she is rad. She's a great character. And who plays her too? I think Iman Vellani. She's great. I think she's hilarious. So, yeah, that's it. I think I'm done wringing that rag of a show called Secret Invasion, which isn't entirely horrible, but it's exhausting. You know, yeah. Anyways, all right, that's about it.